All right. Ken Pike from Absolon. First and foremost, I want to thank you for being here with me today. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
So I got 10 questions for you, which is for me,
Oh,
that's a little much for me, right? I usually write like 6 to 8, but I've never talked to you before, and I'd actually would like to get to know a lot about you and your band today. So,
cool.
you know, I think the best way to start it all off with, honestly, is how did Absalon start?
Oh boy, I don't know. You got about 3 hours. Let's see. Let's see if I can give you the brief version. Um, I was living on my own at the time, and I hadn't played music for a while, probably a year or more. I got kind of burnt out, and so I just put everything away and focused on work and just doing other things. But
Mhm.
I had my amplifier and my guitar and everything. I had it set up in, I guess you call it a den. And one night, I don't know what got into me, but I went down there and thought, yeah, I hadn't played in a long time. I strapped on my guitar, turned on the amp, flipped on the distortion, and I wrote the first song that night for what would be our debut album.
Mhm.
And it was like, man, the metal, as soon as I started hitting them power chords, it just all came back. And I was like, yeah,
Nice.
this feels good. I'm feeling it in my stomach, and um so that was the beginning of the Absalon. Um, eh, that I hadn't even thought about doing, writing songs and let alone an album or putting a band together or anything. I didn't even have the
Mhm.
name
Yeah.
Absolon, you know. So that's kind of how it all started. It just, I guess, by chance.
Yeah.
I got a hair up my butt one night. So
Yeah, man. When did Absalon like start though? Like what year did you guys begin? Like
uh,
actually when you had it all formed together and everything.
well, I it wasn't uh Absalon at the beginning was just me and a friend of mine, the guitarist, who he was in a band with me uh, previously before I put away music, and that band is the reason why I decided to take a break, and I could get into all that if you want.
Mhm.
Um, but so it was just me and my buddy Ed, um, and I wrote all the songs and all the interludes and all the. I wrote the whole thing,
Yeah.
and then I sent it to Ed, and then he did all the guitar work and everything. So that was kind of the beginning, I guess, of the project.
Mhm.
Absalon, and that was in 2013, early
Okay.
2013. So the full band didn't come until later after the release of the debut album.
Okay. Yeah, you guys been going for some good time altogether. 10, 11 years. I thought it was 2023 for a second.
Oh no, not that long.
Yeah. I yeah, there's times where I'll be like looking at the calendar. I'm like, wait, it's 2024. When did we get here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. Don't add any more years on, please.
yeah, we can just keep it as it is, especially with
Yeah.
how things are going. Everything's just getting all born out of proportion in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm getting old fast enough. I don't need to add on any more years. So, man.
Yeah,
So
for
that
sure. I
was
feel
that was the
that.
beginning of Absalon.
Mhm. So actually, I want to jump like all the way over to like question number 6 because I feel like this is something I want to know soon, right?
Hmm.
So I found out about you guys through your promoter. I believe I forgot his last name, but it's Vlad, right? The promoter.
Oh, yeah, Vlad, Vlad. Yeah, he does the promotions for the artist on the label.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
found out about him. He sent me over just like a huge list of all these different bands. Absolon was there. So I downloaded that, got you guys going, and then I just started seeing like sooner than later, every single DJ I had on my station started playing Absolon. So your name was just blowing up like right then and there. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, so you guys were definitely from that list of bands that I pulled because I had like a whole music library, right? From
Uh-huh.
all the bands that I pulled and thrown in, I think you guys have been the most played, definitely. So I just
That is
want to,
really cool.
yeah, man, I just want to know, like, how'd you guys get hooked up with him? Like, did he come to you or did you come to him?
Well, like I said, he's the we right now we're with No Life Till Metal Records, Scott
Mhm.
Waters, and it's kind of hard to explain. Um, no Life Till Metal Records is kind of like, I don't know if I call it a subsidiary or, but it's part of Rocks Records, which is um, owned by Bill, not Hafford, Bafford, I think.
Mhm.
Um, and I've known Bill for mega years, and it's kind of confusing because Rocks Records is basically they sign and distribute Christian heavy metal.
Mhm.
No Life Till Metal Records is kind of like the offshoot of Rocks Records, and Scott handles everything else other than Christian
Yeah.
music. He handles, I guess you call it secular,
Mhm.
um, the secular music, um, and so Vlad, I think Vlad works uh, through Bill in Rocks Records, but of course, also then with Scott in No Life Till Metal Records.
Yeah.
So that's where Vlad comes into it. I don't know Vlad personally, and until uh, he started doing stuff for Scott and Bill, I didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
Um, the first time I got an email uh, from him requesting me to do some, there was like 6 stations that wanted me to do a jingle.
I
The
was one
hi,
of
this
them.
is Pike from Absolon, like you did.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I'd heard him. I'm like, who's this Vlad
Yeah.
boy? But you know, and then Scott told me. I wrote Scott and asked him who is this guy, and then he told me who he was. And oh, cool. So got some promotions going on.
Yeah.
So
Funny
anyway,
thing, really funny. You said the station jingles through Vlad. I was one of the people that actually asked all the bands for the jingles through Vlad, and then eventually I didn't receive any, so I was like, okay, maybe they don't like me. I don't know. So I just went through everybody that was on there, and I messaged them directly through my personal account. And most of them responded. You responded. It was nice. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
oh yeah. Well, it has. It's just like getting asked to do an interview. Like
Yeah.
I told you before we went on air. I'm grateful for any interview. Anyone that, if you want an interview, I will do an interview.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the jingles. It's like I'm promoting my music, so why would I not want to do a jingle? I mean, it takes the whole of 30 seconds, a minute to do a jingle.
Yeah.
So um, so I appreciate you being asked to
Yeah.
do one. You know,
Hey
so.
man, you'd be surprised with a lot of bands. I've had a lot of bands. I'm like, hey, would you guys want to do a jingle? Like jingle? They're like, no, we don't do jingles, man. I'm like, what do you mean you don't do jingles? It takes 10 seconds.
Why wouldn't you want to? I get a kick out of doing them. I like, hey, this is Ken Pike from the metal band Absolon. It's fun. I get a kick out of it.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why somebody wouldn't want to do that and promote their band.
Yeah.
It,
I never understood it either, to be honest with you. Because it's like, I don't know. The people are already like, as the DJs, right? We're already helping out the band as it is. We're just asking
Yeah,
for one small thing. It's not like we're asking for money, but you know, I don't know. There's just some people who just aren't into it, I guess, you know?
yeah.
It's weird.
Well, like you said, it takes less than a minute to record it takes me longer to figure out what I want to say and get the right tone than it does to record it.
Yeah.
So but I don't know whether it's ego or to me it's like you're cutting your nose off to spite your face by saying, "Oh, I don't do that. I'm not going to do that."
Yeah.
But hey, whatever floats their boat, I guess, whatever.
Yeah. I always I always try to keep in contact with all the small bands or bands trying to get the big upbringings and stuff like that. So since there's a number of them, man, especially because I used to just be like a DJ before I owned Vibe Tunes Radio.
Hmm.
So when I was just DJing at one point, I was on another station that I can, if you got 3 hours, I could talk about all of that. But they long story short didn't work out, so I started over here, and when I was over there, actually I was in contact with maybe 5 6 bands. Nowadays I got all these different bands who I'm promoting and playing and supporting. So I just went through, I think the night when I actually messaged you for the jingle, I went through Absolon, of course, and then like 20 other bands. And I just do it so, you know, I don't know. I feel good about having the jingle, to be honest with you. I play it and someone says my name. I'm like, ha, mom, look, they said my name. They know me.
Oh, well, my wife, yeah, thought your name was pretty cool. She's Japanese.
Is she? Oh,
Yeah.
that's nice.
So, DJ Kimono? I said, yeah, it's pretty cool, huh? She said, you mean like a kimono? I said, no, I don't think it's spelled the same, but it's so she got a kick out of that when I was recording the jingle, you
Yeah.
know. So
Uh,
anyway,
that
oh,
that name was actually funny because I used to go by DJ Zave, right? Because I go by Zave with everything else. But after leaving the other station, I kind of wanted to go incognito because they had this whole like, we will come for you if you start your own station stuff. And I was just like, whatever, right? So I created my own unique name, and I was just spitballing random stuff in my head, and I came across the word beast. And I'm like, okay, DJ Beast doesn't sound cool. I'm like, it sounds bland. I'm like, I'm just gonna take this, put it into Japanese, see what we get, and then I got the kimono thing. So I was like, okay, I even pronounced my own name wrong. I call it kimono.
kimono. No, it, kimono.
Yeah,
Actually, because you have an e, so it would be like kimono,
yeah.
but it's still kimono.
I
You
kind of
know.
do it. I kind of do it like a potato patata type of thing. It just whatever people say is what they say. I've had people completely put other letters into it. I'm like, all right, my name's not Camozo or Camolo. I've had that happen before.
The Italian version, Camolo.
Yeah,
Well,
I've had
you'd be surprised how many people cannot pronounce my last name. It's four little letters,
Pike.
and
Did I say it
Pike.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, Pike. And I mean, I get called Peaky and Pick and PK, and it's like, no, I'm not Spanish. I'm German. It's Pike, you know. But I I can see where maybe some people look at kimono and maybe pronounce it wrong.
Yeah. I got a funny story with your name though, I'm not gonna lie. So I the name your name was in my head. I didn't know like if that was your name, right? Ken Pike. I knew your name was Ken. So I was like, who is Ken Pike? So I'm starting to Google names. I'm like, who is this person? Like this name's in my head. And then as soon as I connect here, I'm like, oh, I got my answer.
Ah, yeah. Well, a lot of people they remember me from the '80s band I was in, Malakaya.
Mm.
Um, and there's I'm still kind of surprised that there's so many Malachi fans still out there. But um, so a lot of people are, oh, Ken Pike, yeah, he was a singer from Malakaya. Like, yeah, it's back in like the early mid '80s, man. You still
Yeah.
remember? It's not.
Actually,
Oh,
over in the Florida area though, there's a lot of bands who I'm friends with. Depending on where you're from, you might know some of them. You ever heard of Seasons of the Wolf before?
Seasons of the Wolf.
They're based from Bradenton, Florida.
I know where that's at, but I don't know. I don't think uh, so many of the Florida bands is well, it's kind of where death and black metal,
Yeah.
you know, came came out of, and it's still heavily, you know, death metal, black metal, Viking metal. I call it screamo metal. In
Yeah.
that, but yeah, but that's I don't know. Maybe I have. Hmm. I
Might have
have to think.
been might have been one of those names you've seen around. Definitely like if you've seen my show banners, I always play them every week. So you've seen them by on there for sure. But
Maybe that sounds familiar.
yeah, they do. They're like a traditional heavy metal band. I'm really like good friends with the people behind them. They've been around since before Vibe Tunes. They're one of the bands I'm good with over in Florida. You ever heard of Siren? You ever heard of them before?
That sounds real familiar.
Yeah, they had a really big stint in the 80s and then they just dispersed, like they disappeared for years, right? And they came back, I believe it was in somewhere 2019, 2020-ish. They all just came back as a band. And I actually got to interview the guy. And you heard of Fozzy, right? Chris
Oh yeah.
Jericho's Fozzy?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so they actually have a whole documentary, and Chris Jericho from Fozzy, or also you can just say from WWE, the same thing applies. But
Yeah.
he actually went and filmed the interview, the documentary for them. So when they told me about that, I was just like, oh, I gotta watch this. So they're like
Oh,
really good
cool.
friends with them.
Very cool. Yeah,
And
I'm sure I've heard of them.
yeah, but the Florida area, man, when it comes to just rock and metal, I hear so much about Florida, 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 Florida. I'm getting to a point where I think everybody's from Florida. I'm from Florida probably, and I don't even know it.
Well, I'm not in Florida anymore.
You're not?
I, no, I've we moved to Illinois.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
almost well, October will be 3 years. So I I've been a Midwestern guy, although a Southern boy transplanted to the Midwest. But yeah, so but I was in Florida for like 26 years.
Yeah.
And so in Absolon, of course, we play all over Florida.
Yeah. So you're from Florida, you live in Illinois. Do you ever keep up with any sports by any chance?
No,
Uh
no, I yeah, I'm not a sports. The only sport, honestly, I mean, my whole life, the only sport I ever got into that I really kept up on and loved was boxing.
Hell yeah, I'm a boxer.
Oh, well, okay, great. Yeah, I was. It's been years and years and years since when boxing started getting into having, tons of different divisions, and you'd have
Yeah.
a lightweight that would hold a belt and lightweight, and then go to the featherweight, and then yeah, it
Yeah.
just got, and I couldn't keep up with it anymore. It just got too insane for me. So, but yeah, boxing and martial arts. I was into those two. Those non-violent sports. You know,
Yeah, boxing, I can't say I've done anything with recently because 2 years ago I was doing like a spar with somebody and I broke my nose like completely, like it just went that way. So,
oh,
yeah, I was supposed to get into like because I was supposed to do amateur boxing. I was supposed to have the first amateur fight. I was like 3 weeks out, broke my nose, and I was like, oh, that sucks. Then I didn't have money to afford to keep going to boxing because it's costly, very costly.
I can imagine.
And then I just pick and choose. I just talk to the people I used to box with. I'm like, hey, you guys want to come over and just rattle each other's heads real quick? Do something like that. But yeah, money is definitely the problem with that. And also too, broken nose didn't help.
No, no, but that comes along with boxing or contact martial arts or whatever. You're somewhere along the line. I did contact full contact martial arts back in the maybe in the 80s, and fortunately though I never got my nose broke, and I got bruised up pretty bad sometimes, but I didn't get my
Yeah.
nose broke. I was fortunate. I took a few roundhouse kicks to the head like that, but
Yeah.
but you wore gear and head protection, all that kind of feet and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, I
but
think that was definitely my issue because we trained 2 times a week, like in the actual boxing gym, right? And then we'd
mhm.
all just go to our local actual gym, and we would just go and just beat the crap out of each other for no reason. So yeah, that ended up ultimately getting me in trouble, getting broken noses, almost knocked out a few times, couple concussions, stuff like that. No gear, nothing. So
Well, that's the thing about boxing. You're wearing a pair of gloves and that's it. You know, it, at least, like I say, with the full contact martial arts, um, you wearing the headgear and the although the pad they're not really gloves, but they don't really have a whole lot of cushion. So I mean, when you get hit, you feel it
yeah,
pretty good, almost like a bare fist. But then feet pads and stuff like that, because you're kicking and
yeah.
stuff. Um, but I did that for. I went to quite a few tournaments in the 80s, and lost more than I won. But I did kata. So I would I probably did more kata than I did uh, the full that fighting
Yeah.
in that. So I really enjoyed doing kata. So, but that was a long time ago.
All right. So Zoom kind of kicked us out of that call, but we're back here.
We're back.
Um, so I'm gonna try to this time try to focus a little more on the questions I have instead of going off about boxing. That's a
Okay.
thing. If somebody brings up boxing, I just that's it. That's all I talk about for 3 hours.
Well, see, and then you got me going off on full contact martial art. Yeah,
That's
and
perfect.
I'll talk about that for an hour. So, yeah.
So yeah, the next question I have written down for you is what are your goals with Absolon for 2024?
Well, I'm be, bluntly honest. I'm I'm at an age now. I'm kind of, past the, oh, well, I want to be like a rock star. I want Absolon to be the biggest metal band in the world, and I want to go tour the world. And you know, um, I've fortunately had the opportunity to be in a couple of pretty successful bands. Did the touring and put out albums and radio and all that stuff. So uh, I can look back and say, I got to do a lot of that. I guess I can say I've got to do a lot of stuff that some musicians would just die to be able to have done.
Yeah,
Um, but so my goal for Absalon right now is to continue putting out music. I'm already into the next album. I've got 6 songs written, uh, and hope for a early 2025 release date. Um, so yeah, just keep on putting music out there and hopefully stay relevant.
yeah,
As long as people like it and want to listen to it, I'll keep on uh, making music. Um, I would love to, play live. I used to live for the stage. That's where I feel the best and most comfortable is on a stage.
Yeah.
But logistics wise, and how what the band is and how we record and stuff, it's impossible to even think about ever being able to play live. So at this point,
Yeah.
so yeah, so that's kind of the goal, I guess, is just to keep putting music out there and doing interviews with folk like you, and you
Yeah.
know,
Sounds good. I mean, at the end of the day, you're having a good time doing it, I suppose, right? You're having a good time with Absolon.
mm-hmm.
That's the best part. And you're getting music out to people one way or another. People, obviously, like myself and many other people, are definitely enjoying it. So that's definitely like the big goal, get people to enjoy
Well,
it and have fun.
that I guess, yeah, that it for right now is that's the main goal is just like I said, as long as I continue to be relevant and people like it, and I'll keep. Well, you know what? I probably still keep putting music out there, whether anyone liked it or didn't like it, just because
Yeah.
I like writing music, I like recording, and so I guess I still do it anyway.
Yeah. See, this is where I am as a musician. I'm not a musician, but if I ever were to become one, I can write music well. I can do everything well. But if it comes to actually making the vocals and like singing over a song, I'm sorry if you would ever have to hear that.
Uh, what do you sing in the shower?
If I got good music going on, like if I got the speaker in the shower, yeah,
And you probably sound great.
it in there. But then as soon as I, get everything all going, oh my God, I am very flat keyed, and I'm also. It also comes to being very critical, right? It's like it's the art. I like for me, I try to be as like much of a perfectionist as with everything that I do. Like even radio, the same thing. When I'm on the air, I mess up on a word. I think about that for the next like 5 songs, like that I just messed up on a word. So uh when it comes to music, it's definitely the same thing. So I have a project of music. It is intentionally meant to be as stupid and horrible as it's supposed to come. Like I write songs. I don't half times I don't even write the songs. I just scream into my mic about that deodorant's not on sale or something. I don't know. I just come up with like really random topics and I just scream into the microphone.
Well, in today's market, it probably sell. So, I mean, there's the music or especially metal, what passes for heavy metal nowadays. It's probably I'm a little jaded. I'm, older, and I love traditional heavy metal, and
Yeah.
the metal today just doesn't overall just doesn't cut it with me. So I
Yeah.
I want the Judas Priest and Iron Maidens, and you know, so that's okay though.
Yeah.
I don't listen to the radio so anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw, especially when a corporate radio, especially, I can't listen to corporate radio anymore. It's just, it feels so watered down and like they're handed a script to say whatever they say. And yeah, I don't like listening to it.
And they just play
But
the same stuff over and over and over again. And the thing is, the stuff they play, it all it all sounds the same. So it's like, didn't they just play that song? Oh no, it's a different band. Okay, well, it sounds like
yeah,
the one that they just played. It's like, uh, no,
yeah,
yeah. I don't. If I do listen to radio, um, dare I say, I of course I listen to classic rock stations. I'd rather hear me some, Foreigner in Boston, and bands like Styx and stuff that I than this today stuff. Yeah.
yeah. I blend it as like for what I do for my shows. I try to blend everything in that I could. Right, I'll get some oldies in there, and then we'll go up to like death metal, and then it's I
Hmm.
don't I don't listen to much black metal, so I don't really play that very often. But pretty much everything else, I just smash into the show and hope for the best.
Well, I mean, I understand that. You want to get to as broad of a listening audience as possible, and there's going to be those that are going to, yeah, be like me. They love traditional metal, but then you're going to have those that just black metal, death metal, goth metal, Viking
Yeah.
metal, and they want to hear that. So you kind of got to give everybody something,
Yeah.
you know, if you want to have any kind of audience, So I totally get it, you know. Um,
Yeah.
and
Uh,
not, I mean, stuff isn't my cup of tea, but I know that there's a massively huge market for that
yeah.
stuff, you know.
Def- Definitely. Yeah. Um, the next question I have for you actually is a pretty interesting one. I ask almost every band this, but is there any bands that influenced the creation of Absalon particularly?
Oh yeah. Well, I've had, I mean, you have to keep in mind, I've been in the music business for well over 30 years. So, um, I have a lot of influences, but my biggest and main influence is Queensryche. And you probably could tell that by the vocals and stuff on the
Yeah.
album. Um, I am was the first time I heard Queensryche way back in the 80s, their EP. Um, I was at that time I was kind of singing more closer to Rob Halford, uh, a little Bruce Dickinson, but then I heard Tate, and it was like, oh yeah, this is where I want to go with my. I love this operatic, clean, high notes, just so. I went that direction, and I never looked back.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I have to say, definitely. And if you listen to Absalon's debut album, um, I purposely was trying to write something that was akin to Operation Mindcrime or Judas Priest's Nostradamus, kind of a mix of the two. So the debut album is very Queensryche-ish, very Operation Mindcrime, concept, the whole thing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I've noticed a lot of bands have a big inspiration from Judas Priest. I've noticed that a lot. Everybody always says Judas Priest.
Well, I mean, come on, he's the metal god. I mean, as a singer, I can see if you're doing heavy metal, especially doing, the traditional melodic metal. Um, you know, Rob Halford immediately comes to mind as someone you'd want to emulate.
Yeah.
The growls and the high stratospheric notes and that kind of a thing. I mean, Judas Priest. I mean, they are heavy metal.
Yeah.
I think more than any other heavy metal band, even, well, people would argue about Black Sabbath being metal. To me, Black Sabbath was metal. They to me were the start of metal. But when it comes to what heavy metal is, Judas Priest is the epitome. The clothes, the stage, the songs, the vocals, everything. That is heavy metal. Twin guitar attack.
Yeah.
That's heavy metal.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree with that.
E-
I like
even more than Iron Maiden.
I like a lot of Halford stuff overall, especially when he was in Fight. I was a
Mm,
big fan of that. That's actually I knew it's so weird. I knew Fight before I knew Judas Priest. So
wow.
I and it's really weird how like I think about it, right? So I got into rock and metal. I'm about to be what 21, so 10 years ago actually. Oh my god, it was a long time ago. But I got into it 10 years ago, and Fight Immortal Sin was one of the first songs I ever heard. I heard it on a radio station, And then I started listening to that. And then I found Judas Priest. And then I find out, I think it was like 4 or 5 months later, that the lead singer for both of those bands are the same people. I was like mind blown by that. As like an 11-year-old kid.
Wow. Oh, well, now are you like Judas Priest?
Yeah, I like a lot of their music. There's a few songs that I hear way too much of that I'm just like, all right, like I've heard this song every single person's show. Like I can recite the lyrics from start to finish and from finish to start. Like
Yeah.
let me just walk away while this song's playing. Turbo Lover's the big one, man. I hear that every single week. So
Not even their best. I, I think Turbo um, was now it's a classic. At the time, I think it was extremely underrated. I think it definitely was in the top best albums in their canon of albums.
yeah.
Um, but for me, it's Defenders of the Faith. Um, yeah, that seemed to me where everything just came together. Every song was just classic Judas Priest, blow your hair back metal. Um, Great songs, power. Yeah, that's Defenders of the Faith. A lot of people are Screaming for Vengeance.
Mhm.
Screaming for Vengeance is a great album too. But if you're gonna, I would tell anyone that wants to if you want to start listening to Judas Priest and you're a newbie, I would say listen to Defenders of the Faith first.
Yeah.
Then go back and Screaming for Vengeance and maybe British Steel, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But just yeah, well, second to Queen's Reich for my favorite metal bands is Judas Priest. So
Yeah.
Queen's Reich is that I get for me.
I'm a huge Metallica fan. That's probably like the most I listen to of like rock and metal. A lot of Metallica.
I like uh, early Metallica. I
Yeah.
even liked when they did the Black album. There was some stuff on there I like, but I like their stuff with Master of Puppets and it was raw and powerful and you know and then they just started kind of getting I don't know eh.
Yeah. I wouldn't say they're horrible now. I just think they're just in the middle, you know. I don't know what
Yeah,
happened. Their quality dipped off for sure.
uh,
Maybe
yeah,
if it was a different band that wasn't Metallica, it'd be a lot better. But I think it's just from their standards, they were all the way up here and then they just kind of like slid down the hill.
yeah.
But
You
yeah.
ever heard of a band called Ramstein?
Yes, the one from Germany.
Yeah, I love Ramstein.
Yeah, there's a few songs from them I like,
Oh, Du Hast.
of course.
Yeah, it has to be Du Hast. Um, yeah, I got into when did I get into Ramstein? I think it was their second album. But I first saw the video for Du Hast
Mhm.
and I was like, wow, I don't normally like this kind of stuff, but man, this industrial metal, but this is like, man, this is powerful stuff. And he's singing in German. Well, I'm German, so maybe that's why. Um, but man, when I first Du hast mich, I was just like, yeah, this is cool. So then I totally got into Ramstein, and I still love Ramstein.
Yeah. I'm a little bit spotty on the knowledge of Ramstein. I've heard maybe 4 or 5 of their songs. I play them time by time on the air as well. Du Hast, I feel like everybody's heard Du Hast at one point. That's a very popular song.
Well, that's the song that put them on the map.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think that was off their second album, their Spiegel, I think, or whatever. But and then they put out, I think their third album was actually Live aus Berlin. It was a live album, and that album really is what kind of pulled me in full on Ramstein. Hearing them live,
Yeah.
it was like, hey, gotta love a band that sets himself on fire and stuff. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um,
but
let's see here. The next question I have for you is if you had to choose a favorite song from Absolon, what song would you say it would be?
oh man.
I gotta get into the heavy hitters.
Okay. Well, we got three albums now. Um, well, I wouldn't pick anything off of the our second album. I don't really like that album. Um, and that's a whole long story I could go into, but I don't really got time. Um, I think I would have to say that I really like on the new album. It's a song that I think it's the third song now. I think it's called "My Shadow,"
Mhm.
and it's kind of it starts out. I wouldn't say it's a ballad, but it starts out kind of almost soft, and
Mhm.
then it kicks in and it drives all the way through the end. But I really like that song um, for some reason. Um, I know it probably is not one that gets played a lot. I'm sure people play "Darkness Calls" and
Yep.
maybe "Blood Seed" and that. I like "Darkness Calls" too. I think that turned out to be a pretty good song. But I don't know, "My Shadow." I really like that one.
I'd have to go with Darkness Calls for sure. I was hoping you didn't mention. I was like, hopefully he doesn't know. No, yeah, the gig's up. Darkness Calls is definitely my favorite song from Absalon.
Well, I'm
So,
cool. I'm
uh,
glad you like it that much. It's a good song. I think my next one though would probably be the I like the Blood Seed. I think. Oh, actually, I forgot about War of Angels, the last song.
mm,
I really like that one too. That one really turned out epic. I really like that one too. So, uh,
yeah. See,
it, that's not a fair question, man. That's hard. It's hard to judge your own songs.
yeah, I asked that to every person who I've never interviewed before. I always give them that question. They're like, dude, come on, this is a terrible question. I can't think of one.
But that's a good. You know what? That's a good question though. I have never been in all the interviews I've done. I've never been asked that question.
Really?
Yeah, that's the first time I've been asked that. So I've
Yeah.
never had to think about it.
Yeah. I phrase it differently. I always go to people. I'm like, all right, give me your three favorite, your three least favorite. But I'm like, you know what? I think it's a lot more difficult of a question if we just narrow it down to one song.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, yours is starting to calls. Mine is my shadow.
Yeah. What other questions do I have here? I just jumped a little bit out of order. So this question I ask a lot of bands, and it's a little bit of a wishy-washy question, but I was wondering, do you have any merchandise from Absolon? And if you do, would you mind sending me some so I can try to advertise as much as I could in the outside world?
Actually, I think that still have some T-shirts and um those rubber bracelet
Yeah.
things, guitar picks with Absalon on it. I used to throw out at shows and stuff. Um, I think I have some stuff. I know I've got these really, and it's sad because it's the band, the actual band at the time, back when we were playing live. But it's these like backstage passes
Mhm.
that we had made with our picture on the front, and they're laminated, and we would sell those to it's just something cool for people to have if they wanted it.
Yeah.
Then we had real backstage passes that the our roadies and stuff wore, and they were different from the special ones that we sold. So, but yeah,
Awesome.
yeah,
I mean, Dude, I don't know if you ever saw, I get here and then some bands will send me in some stuff. I always make sure to post it on my personal Facebook and of course my Vibe Tunes Radio Facebook, and I give them a huge shout out as well. So I will definitely be doing that as well for you, because I appreciate anything I can get. You send me a sticky note that says Absolon on it. I'm like, perfect, sounds good.
Hey, that'd be cheap too.
Yeah, you can send that in
Hey,
an envelope.
man, just message me your mailing address and stuff, and I'll go. What size t-shirt do you wear?
I believe I am a medium. The last time I asked somebody for a large, I got a shirt that was like out to here on me. So I believe I'm a medium.
I okay. Well, I think I have some mediums and larges left. Um, yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
I got no problem. I'd be more happy to whatever I can yank out that I still have. I'll send it to you.
Awesome. And hey, I really appreciate that. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. That's my favorite part about being a DJ. Just getting all the cool stuff and then just going up to all my friends like, hey, look what I got. You don't have this. I have it. Ha.
Well, I have again for me, I look at stuff like that, and uh, it's my way too of showing appreciation for you taking the time to interview me, and you guys playing our songs, and you don't have to do that, and all it does is promote Absalon. So um, I have no problem. And the thing is all this stuff I've had sitting wherever it is, it's in the house somewhere, um, sent for years.
Yeah.
So I mean, what am I doing with them? You
Yeah.
know, we sold them at shows, and so I got all these T-shirts and all this other stuff, and they're just sitting packed away.
Yeah.
So somebody gets use out of it.
Course, man, dude. I make sure every time I get anything from a band, it's like cased up, man. It's not if somebody touches a CD I have, that's the end of the world. Like yeah, that's definitely like a no for me, man. Like I've had my mom, she'll like go and like grab like I have like the stack of CDs from a few of the bands that I've been sent CDs from. She'll like go and like rearrange them. I'm like, no, keep them the way they are. Like they're losing value.
Don't get them out of order.
I
Yeah.
actually did. I have them in order too.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. You're just an organized individual.
Sometimes, definitely, it's like that with organization. Sometimes I'm really organized with things. Other times I'm not. If I care about it a lot, I'm very organized. If I don't, there might be a fork laying around on a table or something. You know.
Uh, I'm yeah, I can be the same way. I can be like ultra organized almost to the point of driving you nuts. And
Yeah.
then other times and other whoop, well, got to move location over to the uh, phone charger. My phone
Oh,
just said low on battery, and I don't want to lose you.
yeah.
So, yeah, I just moved to another place in the room in my 111-year-old house. Okay,
There we go.
there. Oh, I got the
Perfect.
red wall behind me, the creepy pictures and stuff. Yeah. Oh, you can see me better too over here. I should come over here to begin with.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good. I don't know if I want you to see me better.
See on my screen, I'm just like a little
Okay, go ahead.
picture.
Uh,
So, um,
yeah. Oh, good. You get a big picture. Great.
yeah. I don't know how it's gonna look on the recording. So when I go back and I look at it, I hopefully it's like kind of like mixed match, but I have no idea. I used Zoom a while ago with this one band I interviewed. That was the worst interview I ever done with that band, by the way. That was terrible. But because it was just like, all right, how'd you guys get into making music? We just like music. I'm like, it's gonna be a tough rodeo. It's one of those bands. So
Oh, well, I told you at the beginning. You let me talk, and I'll just talk and talk and talk.
yeah, I
So,
definitely with a couple of the things, definitely with the Zoom call that ended, and obviously you having to put your phone on charge. I'll chop out some parts. I'm playing this all. Well, it's going to be today for everybody listening, but I'm playing this all Saturday, so it's going to be right on the air.
oh, oh, cool. Well, tomorrow's Saturday.
Yeah,
Oh,
to people
okay. Got to
listening,
make sure to post it.
yeah, to everybody listening now, it's going to be Saturday for them because this is all recorded. It's not live or anything. So, um,
We're not live. We're digital.
um, let's see. I have actually one more question to ask you, and this is one thing I can definitely say with bands I ask a lot of, and this is something I never get a good answer on. So maybe I can get a good answer on this question out of you.
Okay.
So the question is, do you have any hobbies outside of creating music?
Oh, well, yes, I do actually,
Awesome.
and you might find this interesting. Me and my wife actually run a paranormal investigations business. We're ghost hunters.
That's awesome.
So, so I guess I could say that's just, a hobby. It's something outside of music that doesn't have anything to do with music. Although my wife scores, we have we have a YouTube show called The Dark House,
Mhm.
and uh, we take all the stuff from our investigations, all the audio and camcorders, visuals, and stuff. And after we go through hours worth of uh, trying to find things, we why am I freezing up?
Yeah, I just noticed that. I just
Stop!
started
Stop
freezing
it!
up.
uh, yeah. Only when I moved to the other side of the room. That's weird. It did that. Um, but we sit down and my wife edits. We do it together, but she's the one doing the work
Mhm.
and edit everything, put it together into any 20-minute to 30-minute show, and then she scores the show. She's a composer, so she composes music for TV and film. So we put music to it, and then we have our show. So
Awesome.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. That's what I my hobby on the side is. I'm a ghost hunter.
I when I was like a little kid, I think 5 or 6 years old, I used to want to do ghost hunting stuff. And my brother, he's big into all ghost stuff and stuff. I believe ghosts are real. I've seen them firsthand. I just if I'm gonna have to hunt them, nah, no, no, no. I'm good. Because knowing my luck, I'm the type of person to hunt the demon. And that's just not happening. I've
Well,
had I've had
it
some counters before, yeah.
we've had a lot of experiences and um, things that we could not explain. Um, some scary stuff, but nothing, like terrifying. But we've
Yeah.
had some scary stuff in that. But I mean, the house that we live in, we own. This house is seriously off the chain haunted. This
Mhm.
this this place is it, I mean, it's just like I moved from the chair over on that side of the room, just over to this side of the room,
Yeah.
and so having problems with the video feed. Well, this room, um, the previous owners, one of their kids died in this room, um, which is my our living room,
Yeah.
and I have the lights flicker in here and hear sounds and um, you know electronic stuff. I mean, why is it doing this now? Had no problem this whole time. So it, his name was Dean. So maybe Dean, maybe he's sitting here with me. Maybe I moved out of my chair over to this couch thing, and he's sitting here with me. Say hi, Dean. Um, so, but we have stuff going on in this house every day.
Yeah, I can
So
imagine. I get I get
it's
the occasional encounters. My dogs will just start randomly perking up and then barking right at the kitchen. It's always the kitchen too, which is really weird. So,
mm-hmm.
and then the attic,
That's
man.
it's probably something.
Yeah, the kitchen and the attic are the two places. I if I have to go up in the attic, I don't want to. I've heard like noises up there, like little like scream noise, like ah. I'm like, all right, I'm gone. Like I'm not going back up there. That's for sure.
Well, a lot of spirits, ghosts, entities, whatever anybody wants to call them. For some reason, they like to take residence in an attic or in a basement. Um, uh, we have one that lives. We have 3 floors, and we have one that lives on the 3rd floor, which is my my wife's room. She has her, like I have my own space, and then she has, because this house is so big, it's 7 bedrooms, and it's just a huge house. And so there's something that resides on the 3rd floor. It's always there.
Yeah,
And but then we think there's quite a few spirits in this house, because they're all over. It's just every room something,
yeah.
you know. So, but yeah, my actually one of the new songs that I've written for the next album is about a haunted house. So
Awesome. Cannot wait to hear
yeah,
that.
writing a song based on experience. So
Yeah,
um,
nothing better than that.
and it's a good traditional headbanging kind of Judas Priestish tune.
Yeah. So, Zoom is getting ready to kick us out, but
Oh,
we're at,
okay.
we are at the end, luckily. So we made it to the end this time. um, First and foremost, Ken, I want to say thank you very much for coming on to the show. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you all as well also talking and giving me an actual interview. I appreciate that for sure.
Well, I appreciate you having me, I sincerely mean that. I told you I am grateful anytime I get asked to do an interview. I don't care, like I said, how big, how small, how medium or what. But I'm just grateful that somebody actually wants to talk to me
Yeah,
about music and stuff. So, you know, so I thank you.
of course. Thank you very much. Um, Anything you'd like to say? We still got 3 minutes, so anything you'd like to say before I wrap this up? Floor is yours.
Real quick, we're on pretty much all digital platforms. You can get our physical copy CD through no life till metal records.com. And I will send you a copy I'll send you a CD too. So you
Awesome.
can
I
get a
appreciate
physical
that.
copy.
Hell yeah, man.
They're really nice. The 12-page booklet and everything in them. It's a really well done CD.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And once
Yep.
again, thank you for your time. And